Welcome everyone to episode 61 of Raw Sport. My name is Ahmed Al-Houli. We're back with another banger. The man himself, Mr. Tony Sheen, joins me as he does in every single episode. Tony, what's happening, mate?
Another good morning to you, and another huge guest awaits us, and we can't wait to get stuck into him.
Absolutely, Tony. You're currently failing the chin test, so let's get that chin up. Our guest today is a very special one. A man who's represented Australia on the world stage for many years, an Australian boxing legend, even though in the text message he goes to me, my name's Skinny, but we're still calling him a boxing legend. Mr. Skinny Hussein, welcome to the show, buddy. How's things?
Thanks for having me on, mate. I can't believe I'm number 61. I thought I'd be in the top 10, but 61. Jesus, wow.
We had to chase you around Western Sydney to find you.
You're the hardest man to catch, Skinny. It's taken us 60 episodes to get you.
Here we go. Yeah, done. I'm here. Anyway, I'm here.
All right. Before we get into the episode, we always have to give a shout out to our sponsors. Tony Sheen, take it away, my friend.
Well, you're going to put up the ad, Ahmed? There we go. Now, Skinny, we know you were in Melbourne last week, and we know how cold it was, so you need to upgrade with Houdini Plumbing. Ditch your old gas hot water unit and switch to an energy-efficient heat pump where you can save on bills, reduce your carbon footprint, and enjoy reliable hot water. So why choose Houdini Plumbing? Because it's energy efficient, which means up to 70% less energy. It's also eco-friendly, which I know, Skinny, you like to be environmentally friendly because it's lower emissions, and it's also cost savings, so you can slash your bills. And Houdini Plumbing also has expert installers with a fantastic professional service. So for all of you in Melbourne who are freezing your backside off, call 03 9917 5458, or for all of us normal people who live in New South Wales, houdiniplumbing.com.au to upgrade today.
There you go. Back to the show. All right, Skinny, Mr. Environmentalist. Let's go back in time. We want to know where this boxing journey started for Mr. Skinny Hussein.
1988, Belmore PCYC. It was called the Police Citizen Boys Club back then. Now I think it's called the Youth Club. It changed in the 90s. Most young kids, they had nothing to do after school, used to end up at the PCYC, whether playing basketball, doing jiu-jitsu. It was actually judo back then. But we stuck into boxing, and I followed Hussey's lead. Hussey was a couple of years older, so Hussey went there. He took it more serious. I was more, just as company. That's it.
Really? And what made you go down there? What took you guys down there? Was Hussey was he curious? Was it one of these things, the stories at school where you're getting bullied?
No, never got bullied. Thank God for that. But what's good? I wasn't that curious. We lived 300 meters away from the PCYC. You know how it was back in the days. You either played on your bike, you had to be home before the lights were out. That was the rule of thumb. But yeah, done. But the PCYC was a good environment back then. The coppers were very laid back, very relaxed, very educational back then. They weren't harsh, they weren't cruel. So the cops that were working at the PCYC were very friendly back then, and we always grew up respecting the coppers. I know today's society is a bit different. The coppers are harsh, people are harsh, but I've never had a problem with them, to be honest.
Which area are you referring to, Skinny?
Belmore.
Yep.
Wow. So you went down to the PCYC, you made your mark, got into boxing, had an amateur career, and then you came across a man, an Australian legend, Jeff Fenech. Take us through that whole story. That seemed to be part of that golden age that grew up around Fenech and his team.
Yeah, Fenech was big. He's a big name. We used to see him at the fights and not even look him in the eye because we were that embarrassed. But I had, maybe in the 80, close to 85 amateur fights. I was sparring at Newtown PCYC. If you remember, there's a Melbourne guy called Pierre Karam.
Yeah,
Pierre
friend
was
of
the
mine.
first guy to work with Jeff in 96, 97. So I was sparring at PCYC in Newtown, and Jeff come up to me after the spar and said, "Listen, mate, you got a bit of talent. We can move you in the right direction." And I actually fought Johnny Lewis at the time, had Costa Zoo, had Justin Rousel, had a stable of guns and killers. And I thought, you know what, I'm a small guy in a big gym. So I took Jeff's advice and I started training with Jeff from maybe 97, early 97. He turned me pro in June. We had 14 fights in 18 months. I won 2 Australian titles. I won the WBF World title against a legitimate fighter, and it wasn't like a cherry-picked opponent. So he moved us quick. Then we sort of, like I've had 48 fights in 10 years. So that's a pretty busy career.
Incredibly busy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Powerful. And take us through that WBF title.
It was a Thai opponent. He was very durable. He had 40-something fights. I was 14 fights. I was 14 fights into my career. I'd only done 12 rounds twice, I think, for the Australian titles. And he pressed, he came, he pushed. He gave me a hard fight. The Thai judge obviously gave him the decision, and the other 2 officials gave it to me. But you know what? Australians are getting robbed by Thais in Australia. That happens all the time.
Hey, Skinny, just to digress for a moment, do you regret having so many fights in such a short amount of time?
Not at all. I think a fighter should be active, and like I had a lot. Like I had my first fight. It was a 6-rounder. I went 6 rounds. Then I had 5 first-round knockouts. So I was able to fight every 2-3 weeks. It wasn't. We spar hard anyway. We go in the gym. And Jeff had a stable of like, I'm talking about hard sparring, man. I'm talking about like Love Monadou, Gary Sinclair, Victor Chinian, Ben Rabar. He had elite Daniel Gill, Nader Hamden. Like, and weight wasn't a problem. We sparred anyone and everyone.
Wow. What a lineup.
Yeah, that's without the Saka, the Danny Green, and they were too big for me, obviously. But yeah, we had a great gym at the time.
Yeah,
What was
you
it
mean
like training?
too big physically?
Pardon?
You mean too big physically?
Yeah, physically. But Jeff is an intense guy. He trains hard. Everything's hard with Jeff. And Jeff's sessions are never 2 hours. They're all 45 minutes. He replicates a fight. So you train hard for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and you're out of the gym. You're not there for 2 hours. You're not shadow boxing 6 rounds, skipping 6 rounds. You shadow box 2, you skip 2, you hit the bag for 4 rounds. You spar one day, you do pads one day. That's how Jeff had it. It was very intense. It was hard, man. Like, we can't say we're technically the best fighters in the country, but we're definitely the fittest and the toughest in the country.
So the way Jeff trains, did it prolong your career?
It shortens your career. Hey, but you know that from Jeff.
Yeah.
You know that from Jeff. Jeff had a 5-year reign where he dominated the game, and then he was out for 2 years, and he had one fight, and he was out for a year and a half. So Jeff's career was very shortened because of how he trained, the intensity of how he trained. Jeff, everything's hard with Jeff. Like I came to Jeff running 5Ks in 40 minutes. After 3 months, I was running 5Ks in 18 minutes. That's Jeff for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That's quite the improvement.
Yeah, he's very intense. Yeah.
All right, we'll keep going. In the boxing world, you're known for unfortunately, actually, you're known for a fight that with a living legend who went on to conquer the world and win many titles in different weight division. I think he was a 10-time world
They say
world
8
titles.
division. They say 8 division champion.
In 8 divisions, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's none more than the man himself, Mr. Manny Pacquiao. Take us through that experience with him, the fight leading up, what happened. I don't think enough people know about that fight because that was a big fight in your career and his career. And unfortunately, it didn't go your way.
Yeah, Listen, we done what many fighters don't do, go and fight in Asia. A lot of fighters don't do it from Australia. They don't go, and now I understand why. Mate, they treated us terrible, like terrible. We were treated. We stayed 2 hours away from the venue. So on the day of the fight, we had to drive 2 hours to the venue. Like it doesn't like the things they did there was nasty. Forget about that. We got in the ring. It was all I wanted was an even playing field. They said before that there was a Korean judge, an Australian judge, and a New Zealand English judge, and they said that the referee was American, not knowing that the referee had lived in America for 20 years but was Filipino. That that ba- that barely spoke English. So I know he was a renowned ref. He done the Frilo Manila. He done Duran and Leonard. He's done big fights. Carlos Padilla, of course. I call him the grub of all grubs. Yeah, like I don't want to win a fight that I didn't win. I don't want injustice on myself, on my opponent. All I want was a fair shake. You go in there. If I won 7 rounds, I won the fight. If I lost and I got knocked out, it is. I'll take it on the chin. I'll be upset. I'll be upset for 24 hours and I'll get over it. But mate, they mistreated us. The officials was nasty. Mate, I didn't even know the doctor was in on it until that interview came out. Can you hear me? Or you froze?
Yeah, no, I think Ahmed's frozen.
Yeah, Ahmed froze, yeah.
We can
Ahmed,
hear
you're supposed to be running this show, Ahmed.
Yes, we can hear you. Just keep going, Skinny.
Yeah.
We'll just keep going.
Like I said, man, this Carlos Padilla got inducted into the Hall of Fame as a prestigious referee. I call him a dog of all dogs. He's a scum of the earth to do what he did, the injustice that he did, and what he did to take part in robbing a fighter and robbing someone's future was I don't know. I can't even fathom it. Like for me to take someone's destiny out of his hand intentionally is just he's just a cruel bloke.
I can see that it still rolls you up to this very day.
Yeah, I got no beef with Manny. I spoke to Manny numerous times after the fight. I've met him in Vegas a couple of times and no problems with Manny. I got no ill grudge towards Manny. But that son of a bitch that was either working for the commission, working for the promoter, or working for someone, because he made it clear that if Manny didn't win the fight, that it wasn't going to be good for the Filipinos or for himself.
So, and you voiced this to that referee since?
Oh, we voiced it to the WBC. We voiced it to Manny Suleiman. Suleiman said to me that he said it in tongue and cheek. Mate, he was spot on in his description of what went on. He was spot on because I pleaded with the doctor. Please don't stop the fight. There's 2 more rounds. Why would you stop the fight? I was bleeding for 2 rounds before that. I told you I could see. So I don't know, man. I don't know what the agenda was.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you might have already voiced it.
Yeah, but we're going to get back onto the WBC. We're going to start emailing them again because we've left them alone for too long. They said that they were going to investigate the situation. They haven't done that. They said they were going to come back with a result. They haven't done that.
So you're still seeking justice to this day?
I'm seeking justice from that. They felt that I want them to say that, you know what, our official did the wrong thing on the night. That's it. I don't want the decision overturned. I've lost to Manny Pacquiao. I don't want the belt. He can fuck his belt, that green and gold belt. It's corrupt. It's got blood on his hand. That's why it stands for We Be Crooks. WBC stands for We Be Crooks. That's the truth. The fighters know it. And look at now, Manny Pacquiao decided to make a comeback after 4 years. He's elevated him to #1 in the WBC so he can fight the champion. How does that happen? What happens to the WBC #1 guy that's waiting for a title shot that might establish his career as a fighter? Then he's got to sit there and wait because Manny Pacquiao wants to fight for a title. Charlo had the title for 4 years, defended it 3 times. And he took the belt off him last week because he got involved in a domestic altercation with his missus. Like, come on, man. You're holding up fighters. You're holding up talent. You're holding up careers. That's all you're doing.
What's your ideal outcome for yourself?
Nothing. I don't want. Like I said, I don't want $1. I don't want the decision overturned. I don't want the bill. I want him to say that our official on the night did the wrong thing and intentionally did the wrong thing. That's all.
Wow.
Don't say to me, "Oh, he said it in tongue in cheek." We know when people say things in tongue in cheek, mate. This official, he's 85 years old now. Yeah. So he must have had guilt in his heart for years. I said, you know what? I'll sit there because there's no reason for him to say it. No one's ever no official has ever come out and said I did the wrong thing intentionally. I've never heard it. Have you in any sport?
No, because their back pockets are full.
It's true, but he's 85. He's not reffing no more. He's not aligned to no one, so he can say what he wants now. He couldn't say it in his 50s and his 60s because he wanted work. He wanted to go to the Philippines and get 10 grand to ref a fight. He wanted to go to America and get his allowance covered and make 10 grand a fight. But now he's not entitled to that because he's old.
Skinny, is this the first time that you've spoken about this in the recent times?
In recent times, yeah. First time. On a podcast. I did a couple podcasts in America and they were as well shocked that the WC hadn't done nothing. Actually, they weren't shocked. They actually knew that WC were not going to do nothing.
Wow.
Well, Ahmed, we can launch a campaign on behalf of Skinny to overturn the decision that upset his boxing career.
I don't want to overturn, brother. I don't want to overturn. Like I said, before that fight, I was 19-0. I was Australian champion, Commonwealth champion. I was ranked number 7 in the world. Pacquiao was number 2 in the world. We're fighting for eliminator. Mate, if I lose, I lose. I jumped on a plane. I went to the Philippines. No Australian does that. I would never send my fighters to Asia to fight against a bloke that's a hometown favourite. I wouldn't do it. It doesn't make sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, not unless they're paying me stupid money. I got 8,000 US.
Wow.
I was making 6,000 in Australia. So it wasn't like they're paying me 3 times the money.
They're not left with much once you start paying managers and trainers and so on.
No, you left with what? You left with, yeah.
Well, not much.
Skinny, do you know how much...
Monza, just go in and walk. I'm just doing a podcast. Just warm him up. Thanks, Harry. Sorry.
Skinny, do you know how much Manny Pacquiao got for that fight?
He got 28,000 US.
But it doesn't matter. That's not what the problem is. The problem is the compensation after it. Manny Pacquiao has over probably $200 million in his career.
No, I don't want compensation. I don't need it. I run a gym. I live a humble life.
Yeah,
I don't need $1 from fucking Carlos Padilla, from the WC, or from Manny Pacquiao. I don't need nothing. I want justice. That's all. Because I know what happened in that fight derailed my career. I know for a fact. Because if injustice happens to someone in football, in soccer, they're never the same fighter. It kills them. It takes something out of them. I've never looked at the sport the same way ever again after the year 2000.
But what else could you get, Skinny? Now that
I don't want nothing. I want that scumbag that runs the WC, that knows his name's Jose Suleiman, that knows what happened that night, to say, you know what, my official didn't say it in tongue in cheek. He said it out of malice. He said it because he was paid to do what he was meant to do. Why would you tell us there's an American official and he rocks up he's Filipino? Why? Why not tell us it was Carlos Padilla? Give us a name, then we can Google and say, you know what? We don't want a fucking Filipino that lives in America. It doesn't work.
Do you know where Carlos Padilla is now?
In Vegas. He lives in Vegas.
Well, you're gonna have to send the boys over, Skinny. Maybe they can sort him out for you.
No, we're straight up here, Ahmed. But I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll make sure that he finds out about this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I mean, look, if I was in your position, mate, I would be saying it doesn't matter what my status is, how much I got in my bank account, it's irrelevant. The principle here is it distracted you and it digressed your career. and
I understand.
you could have gone on and done many things and fought for world titles and made a lot more money than what you did. There's no reason for you not to be compensated for it. But anyway, maybe we can see if we can do some things in the background here at Raw Sport. Maybe talk to a few people overseas. We'll see how we go.
In saying that, if I had won that fight, I'm 1 or 2 fights away from title fight.
Yeah,
because Manny's next fight was a title fight.
Yeah, and then you go from $8,000 to a couple of $100,000.
Yeah, well, yeah, forget the money because we don't know what would have happened. But so I come back to Australia. I have 19 fights before I get myself a title shot. Do you get it? So I've had 20 fights when I fight Manny. I've had 19 more fights. My body is not the same as it was at 20 fights. When you get into a world title fight after 20 fights, you're not battle tested. You know, your body's not, it's recovered. After 40 fights, hardly any Australian fighters win world titles after 40. TSZYU after 17 fights. George Cambasis after 21 fights. Jeff Fenech after 19 fights. Who else we got? We got Liam Parra. He's had 22 fights, whatever he's had. These guys, they're not winning world titles when they've had 40, 50 fights. It doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
Skinny, what would it be silly of us to say that you are angry and pissed off right now?
I'm honestly, I'm ropeable. He fucking that scumbag. Not him. The WBC, they've done so much wrong by so many fighters. Honestly, and James Toney and Main Event and Mildred Taylor, they've all cried foul for so long, and they've thrown their belts away. They've chucked them. Riddick Bowe chucked the belt in the bin. He took it off his waist and chucked it in the bin and said, "You know what? That's all it's worth."
Well, there you go. Skinny, we're going to move on to an interesting conversation, or maybe a point where I think you've also got an opinion on. How do you see the state of Australian boxing today?
I think it's good. I think it's strong.
Okay.
I don't like the fact that it's run by one entity, that No Limits is getting all the limelight and all the hype. We've got Ace Boxing. We've got Brian Amatura. You got my brother who are building fighters on in the circuit, and then No Limits are sort of saying, all right, we'll take these fighters now. They've done what they have to do, and we'll put them on Foxtel and take credit for it. The bloodlines are done in club shows. Honestly, we fought at club shows. 80% of the crowd was our crowd against foreign fighters. I don't think enough people get enough credit these days. The people keep saying No Limit is running boxing. No Limit is the face of boxing. That's not true. We've just seen Ace Boxing and Angelo DiCarlo bring back a world champion.
Liam Parra.
Liam Parra.
And launch a series on 7, watched around the country.
Yeah.
Free to air.
Yeah.
Do you like the fact that there's multiple networks now that are getting involved in the game?
100%. Oh, we got Stan, we got 7 Plus, we got Foxtel's always been there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's insane. Stan's a bit tricky for me to get on because I don't know how Stan works, but yeah, I can make it work if I have to.
Yeah, maybe ask your son or something. That's just the way it works.
Yeah, pretty much.
Question, last one from me. Is there a young talent that we should all be looking out for that you either train or you know of that's not in the spotlight at the moment?
No, I'm not really invested in fighters. Talent-wise, it's hard to say. There's a couple of good boys that Jalen Tate, Rocky Ogden. We've seen that Sam Goodman's a very, very. I think he's no longer a talent. He's a real threat and a contender to win the title. Who else we got? We got Tim. Tim's always in fine form. Liam Parra, incredible what he did to go to Puerto Rico and beat the boogeyman in his backyard is
understated.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it's really understated. Liam Parra.
People don't understand.
Yeah.
People do not understand fighting for world title home and abroad. And how many fighters have won titles abroad?
Especially Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico,
yeah.
Daniel Gill went to Germany, won a world title. Very rarely, does it. Cambasis upset the odds. But everyone else, Danny Green never won a title overseas. Mundine never won a title overseas. Jeff Horn never won a title overseas. Jeff Fenech never won a title overseas. Lester Ellis, Barry Michaels, they all won it on home soil. They never won belts overseas.
There you go. There's some boxing history there for you guys, and Sam Goodman's all in. So
Yeah.
inside joke. But anyway, we'll keep going. Tony, you got any more for Mr. Skinny Hussein before he moves on to his busy day?
Yeah, one more from me, Skinny. Do you know much about the Barry Hall Curtis fight next week?
No, I've seen Barry fight, but I've seen Curtis has come to my gym and sparred the Meehan boys. I've seen him. Mate, Curtis is a decent. He's a legit professional fighter now. Curtis is tough. He's physically strong. He's fit. He's determined, and I think he's going to walk straight through Barry Hall.
Wow. So does that mean Curtis will end up fighting Sonny Bill?
Yeah, I've heard rumours.
Okay, yeah. Elaborate.
I've heard rumours. I haven't seen Sonny Bill training lately, but I've heard rumours. But I think you'd want to see Curtis have maybe 4 or 5 fights, because I don't think many people know Curtis Scott. You know, I think you'd want to build him up and maybe make that fight happen later in the year or early next year.
Well, is Gallen still a potential?
No, Gallen's done. Gal's done.
Okay.
There's this constant bird that keeps dropping off this message about a stadium fight in Melbourne, just with Sonny Bill and someone else. That's all. This bird keeps on telling me. So anyway, we'll see how things play out. But anyway, Mr. Skinny Hussein, thank you very much, buddy. You've been very generous with your time. We appreciate you jumping on. Where can people find you online, buddy?
I'm on Instagram on Skinny Hussein and Body Punch Boxing Gym. I'm on both.
Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Skinny Hussein, thank you very much for joining us on Raw Sport. Thank you, buddy.
See you, boys. See you.
Thank you, mate.
Bye.
Take care, boys.